Now I think we've talked about this every single video, but it keeps coming up.
Okay.
Just they're asking the difference. So it came up on my last buyer. So I wanted to see if you can explain the difference between you as a mortgage broker versus a bank or, another retail lender again.
Or even credit unions. I'll throw those
Credit,
into the, yeah.
credit unions.
So I would say the biggest difference is all we do is mortgages, right? I become the middleman between you and the lender. I am your go-to. You don't talk to anybody else but me and my assistant throughout the whole loan process. So you don't have to worry about calling an 800 number and getting somebody different you have to explain the same story to for the 10th time. Communication is huge, but also is availability. Nicole, as you know, like I'm not making this up. I work 7 days a week. I was in here at 4 o'clock this morning. I was in at about 3 o'clock yesterday morning. I was doing pre-quals all day Saturday and Sunday, and we work when everybody else is not working, right? You go to a big bank, credit union, retail, and you're going to get them between 9 and 5, Monday through Friday. So something to think about. And we see this in the lending world all the time. We get the frantic call Sunday at 6 o'clock, at night, I'm trying to write an offer. And then literally Monday morning, it's like, nah, never mind. I'm going with my bank. They answered the phone. It happens all the time. It's frustrating. It's just nature of the game. I've been doing this for 21 years. So now my question is, are you calling your bank tomorrow morning? Because if that's the case, wait till tomorrow morning, right?
Yeah.
You just don't waste people's time is the main thing. But that's when you're out there looking at over the weekend, you find the perfect property and you want to get an offer in before anybody else does and win that. Your banker's not answering the phone. They're just not, right? At any one of the 5 big banks or a credit union, they're not going to answer the phone and you're going to have to wait till Monday.
Yeah.
The other big difference is fees. All of the banks, the credit unions, they're going to charge lender fees. As a broker, we don't have any lender fees. We don't charge underwriting, processing, doc prep. So when somebody comes to me and says, well, your rate's the same as my bank over here, and then I see the fee sheet and I'm like, our rates aren't the same. Because if that bank's charging you $2,000, now in order to compare apples to apples, I have to go to my rate sheet and give you the rate that costs $2,000. And in that situation, I'm going to be cheaper, not the same. So apples to apples. Now, in that scenario, it never makes sense to pay points. You want to take, in this market, you want to take the rate that doesn't cost anything. That'll change when rates come down. My advice on that will change. But initially, when you buy the house right now, you do not want a rate that comes with points. Those are some of the big differences. Something that clients don't really know until they get into it is really 2 things. You got to fit in the box. Right? The credit unions, they're holding that mortgage. They're not selling it in most cases. The big banks are usually holding it as well. What do? We talk about risk, right? They shrink their box so much that if they're going to hold those mortgages, they want them to perform well. So their box is going to be smaller than what we have access as a broker. We have access to any program. The second thing is we talked about communication on the front end to get your offer accepted. But once you're under contract, it's how they communicate with the parties involved in the transaction. Your agent, Nicole, the listing agent, are they getting things done in a timely manner? In Arizona, there's this document the Arizona Department of Real Estate has us lenders fill out, even though it's the real estate department making us do it. And it's a loan status update and a pre-qual form. You'd be surprised how many banks say, send it to me. And then they say, no, I'm not going to fill that out. That's not our form. And it's actually in the Arizona residential real estate contract that within 10 days of contract acceptance, we as a lender have to send that loan status update out.
I just ran into that situation. I had on day 10, I had to reach out to the credit union and I'm like, where is this at? We need an update here,
Yeah.
And,
and that per the contract, that's the only requirement is the first one. And you still have to push for that. Now, what us good loan officers are, us local loan officers who are good, we usually pick a day of the week and we send it out every week, right? Helps keep everybody in the transaction up to speed on where things are at. So I do mine, as Nicole knows, every Tuesday. In fact, that's why I was in early this morning, knocked out all my loan status updates. And that keeps everybody every Tuesday morning, they're getting an update on exactly where we're at. So not only am I answering the phone and communicating, keep in mind that real estate, any real estate transaction has a lot of people involved, right? So Nicole, if you had a client and I was doing the loan, that's me and you, plus the buyers, plus the sellers, plus the seller's agent, plus the title company. And then we have a home inspector, and then we have an appraiser. And then what happens if something comes up on the appraisal or the inspection? We got to have contractors, right? there can easily be a dozen people involved in making sure the transaction goes. So I always tell people, like, real estate transactions don't always go smooth. We hope they do, but there's so many nuances and so many people involved. It is common for things to go sideways. You need a true partnership where when that happens, everybody puts their head together versus a banker that won't answer their phone, right?
Yeah.
Or says, hey, not my problem. That's a real estate problem. Go figure it out.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that, I think those are the main big differences. Anything that you can think of that I didn't touch on?
You did touch on basically your ability to shop it out versus and get the best rate
Yeah.
versus the banker. And I don't
Yep.
think that they really realize that is that you're looking around, you have, I don't know how many other mortgage or companies that you,
100.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, and
Good
I,
point.
yeah, let me bring it into the next part is like the appraisal. So let's just say that an appraisal comes back low and nobody wants to negotiate that for a conventional loan anyways. You can actually, just correct me, get out of that out of that loan that you have with that company and go look for another,
And we
right?
could do another appraisal.
Shop it out again.
Right. Is it costing another fee to the client? Yes. But if it's benefiting them to keep the deal together, that is correct. So every broker set up with different companies and different numbers, I think we're up to almost 100. I will say that when you are on social media and you see lenders, hey, I'm a broker, right? There's this tagline that I absolutely hate. Brokers are better. Eh, there's bad characters in the broker world, just like there are in the retail world. And so I don't submit to that. You're either a good loan officer or you're not. But what you'll see a lot of advertising, I'm a broker, I can guarantee you the lowest interest rate. I don't like that either. I will tell you, like, when we do loans for clients, we don't go with the cheapest lender for the same reason that we're talking bank, credit union versus broker, right? We had this kind of ties in, right? We've been talking about VA loans today. Back in, I think it was February, we had a veteran buying a new build down in Casa Grande, and we were doing the loan. And on that particular day, this one lender that I had never heard anything negative about, and this client had their previous home financed with this lender. So there's a relationship there, had a 1/4% better rate. So in good conscience, I'm like, there's no reason not to take them there. First time ever working with them. They picked that client's loan apart for 3 weeks. Anything and everything. If I had went to my go-to lender that has good customer service, that more lenient underwriting, things just go more smooth, we would have had that loan done in 2 days.
Yeah.
There was nothing crazy about their file. They were straightforward. They were already a customer of this lender and they picked them apart for 3 weeks. We closed on time, but barely. So I tell clients, I'm never going to guarantee I'm getting you the best rate. I'm getting you the combination of the best rate and the best customer service for the best experience, right? If I can get your loan done in 2 days, like we have a client that while we've been talking, they just got fully approved and they're sending their loan docs out. Today is the 11th. They close on the 28th. They're buying their first house. Like that's worth something. And I'd rather have that than be flying around. Like there's 3 companies that are notoriously always the lowest on the rate sheet. I won't send a loan there because the chances that we close on time are very slim. Some of them we might not even close at all, right? There's a reason why their rates are the lowest. They're not good. So kind of goes in line with the difference between brokers and
Yeah.
banks and credit unions. You don't ever want to chase the cheapest because you get what you pay for.
Get what you pay for,
You
exactly.
want a combination of both.
Now, for you as the broker, do you find that you have more programs available versus the retail lenders?
Slightly compared to the banks and credit unions, absolutely, right? I just mentioned you got to fit in their small box. Compared to like retail lenders, some of the bigger mortgage only banks that are out there, slightly more programs. All of those banks, it should be known, they can broker those niche products out, right? If it's an I-10 borrower or somebody that doesn't have a social, if it's a bank statement loan, they can broker them out. That's not how they operate their business day in and day out. So they will tell you they don't have the program because they don't want to deal with brokering it out. Plus, their employer doesn't like to see that. So they typically cut the employee's commission to do that. And you got to ask yourself, who's working hard for you? The person who had their pay cut or the person who's being paid normally?
Yeah.